Hey everybody, it's Bob from the Skookum Report. Y'all are going to be pleased with this. It's a part one of a two-parter, really. It's Mary Fabian coming straight out of Pennsylvania. She's the owner-operator of Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project. Y'all get ready. What? Come on. She's packing weapons of knowledge.
Hey, welcome to the Skookum Report, everybody. Today we have Mary Fabian. She is the owner and administrator of the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project and the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project group that is on Facebook. You can look that up. And I'm so glad to have her here today. She's going to be sharing some of her experiences and a whole bunch about Bigfoot, and she's very knowledgeable, and I'm just happy to have her here. Hi, Mary. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing really well, really well. I can't wait to really get into this and hear all the stuff you have to talk about. When did you first hear about Bigfoot, let's say?
Well, that's a question that's whenever I first heard about Bigfoot would have been,
find out about
in the
Bigfoot.
60s. Yeah. I think it was like in the late 60s, early 70s. There were TV shows on, and most of them talked about the Yeti and the Siberian snowman. But then later on, they talked about the Bigfoot in America.
Yeah.
And
I remember Leonard Nimoy. A lot of people point back to that show he had on Bigfoot in Search of.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. That's very intriguing.
It was, but
it had a lot of people
time,
on the edge of their seat.
Yeah, it really did. But by that time, I had already had my first sighting.
Oh, wow.
But the problem is, at that time, I didn't realize that it was Bigfoot. I just thought it was a big guy with a fur coat on in the middle of summer.
Oh, my goodness. You want to start with that one?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, this was in 1967. I was just a kid and lived on a big farm, and I was out walking with my no, I don't think I had my dog with me that day. I must not have, but I was out walking.
And was this was this in Pennsylvania also as well?
Yes.
Always. What part of Pennsylvania do you live in?
That was in southern Allegheny County, which is in southwestern PA.
Okay.
And
is that where you're at now as well?
Well, I am. Let's see. That was south of Pittsburgh, and now I am about 40 miles north of Pittsburgh in western Pennsylvania.
Okay. So not too far.
Not too far. No, maybe about 50 miles or so.
Right. Okay, cool. Well, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah, I was hiking along a trail. It was there was a gas line that ran along the edge of our farm, and I was hiking down a hill into a dip, and straight across from me was where the dip came up again. And there was woods on the right side and a field on the left side. And out of the woods walked this big guy with a black fur coat on. He walked right across the trail and stopped, looked at me, and then he just continued on into the field on the other side. And that was really all that happened. But you know, it was many, many years later whenever I realized, that wasn't a man.
Right. Did it look more human?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he had a more humanoid face.
Gotcha.
Sorry about that. That's my dog.
Hey, that's fine.
Yeah.
He's talking to somebody.
Yeah.
He wants to get in on you. He wants to get in on the Skookum Report too.
Yeah, she does.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, she must hear somebody in the back But
I know it's hard to, when you are thinking back and as a memory from childhood,
right.
It's hard to judge like size and distance.
Yeah.
You know, when we're a kid, everything seems so much bigger. But
yeah,
how big do you think it was in hindsight, as far as height?
In hindsight, well, he was just about directly across from me, and that was maybe about 50 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think that he, from what I recall, maybe 7 feet is what I can guess. But he was big and burly.
Right.
I've seen 5 Bigfoot so far over the 5 decades, and
wow.
Each one has a shape different.
Yeah, that's what I'm learning too. I'm hearing that a lot of them look different, shaped different, walk different sometimes, different color hair,
right.
different length of hair sometimes.
Yeah.
Depending on what part of the country too, like the length of hair and stuff like that. But
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
super interesting.
Yeah, they're as individual as we are. But yeah, this
right,
one, he looked more like, I guess, what you would picture a Neanderthal.
Okay.
Like is, going by memory from many, many years ago.
Well, did you go back and tell your parents? And
no, not really.
Just figured it was a guy. This nonchalant. Okay.
Yeah, it really didn't frighten me. He didn't do anything threatening. He just stopped and looked at me and then continued on. But,
wow.
It just stuck in my head, all these years.
Well, how about your second one?
My second one, that would have been over a course of about 12 years, there was a Bigfoot that would come around my home, and this was starting in 2004.
Okay.
In Beaver County, Pennsylvania. And I had remarried and moved north of Pittsburgh, and my husband had a house in Beaver County, and it was in a rural area, I guess you could call it. There was a golf course across from us and a golf course as well as undeveloped property behind us, and then a ridge with power lines, and then a steep hill running down to the river. And it was, I couldn't tell you how many acres of trees and forest that was, but it was scattered farms and but a lot of woods. And about every 3 weeks, something would come up to the house and bang on my wall, the bedroom wall, whenever I was in bed. And I would hear them talking this garbled, like a which I know now as being the samurai chatter.
Right.
And he would peek in the windows and
my Lord.
Upset my dog.
I bet.
And my dog was, at that time, she was a rescue, and she was very, very fearful, and we were working on getting her back to trusting humans.
Oh.
And she had been bullied before.
How did she react to the Bigfoot when she would see him in the window?
Well,
because every dog I've heard they all act different.
Every dog acts different, and I'm lucky to have 2 that reacts the right way around Bigfoot, that they alert me. And People find it strange, but you got to have a dog that is scared as all heck whenever Bigfoot comes around. You got to watch them, watch their ears and their tail, see how they react. But whenever he would come around the house, she would just growl. It would be a mixture of a growl and a whine. And then she would crawl backwards until she was huddled up against me, shaking.
Oh, my goodness.
And she was just scared out of her wits whenever he would come around. And he would make me so mad, that he was doing this to her. And he did it.
Yeah.
I knew he was doing it deliberately, too, because that's what I've learned that they like to do, we're their entertainment. So he was getting his kicks out of, trying to get me to be scared, to show fear. And I wasn't having it.
Right. And he liked scaring the dog too. Yeah,
he did. So,
Man,
I would get
awful.
up and I'd rush out the back door and I'd holler out at him. And I'd holler at him, stop bullying my dog.
I'm sure that he knew what you meant.
Yeah. Who knows if he did, but he kept coming around every 3 weeks for 12 years.
Every 3 weeks?
Every 3 weeks. I think that he would be on a circle, and I was just on his route.
Okay. For 12 years?
Yeah, 12 years.
Man, did you have a name for him after all these years?
Other than SOB
Right.
and other names.
Gotcha.
That's about
wow. And what about over the period of 12 years? Did you have the same dog the whole time?
Yes.
Okay, so
yes.
And she acted that way every time?
Every single time. And there would be coyote that would come into the yard and other animals, and she wouldn't react that way.
All right.
It was only whenever he was around.
My goodness.
And,
that's pretty. I've never heard quite a story quite like that. Like every 3 weeks, kind of like you were, you said, on his route. And,
right.
And he would peep in the windows. Well, I've heard him peeping in the windows, of course, and bang on the houses, but
right.
Just like scaring the dog every time, all those years, and you running out back door yelling at him, and I'm sure he knew exactly what he just ticked you off.
Oh yeah, he knew that he got me mad. Sometimes he would come later at night, and I would be in bed, and he would bang the wall directly behind where I was laying. Sure. So he probably heard me snoring or something.
And and your husband saw this?
No, my husband is a city boy, and he for all those years he never saw the deer that would come into our yard. He is completely unaware of things that are different, and
he never saw a deer.
Well, the deer that would come in our yard.
Okay, like friendly deer.
Right. And he would sleep through everything that would go on. There was one night that was like very, very intense, and he slept right through it. And,
Lord.
Yeah, that wasn't that. I had made the mistake of. See, I had watched that TV show where they not finding a Bigfoot.
Yeah, okay. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And, stupidly at that time I thought, oh, okay, wow, this is great. So, I went, I drove up on the hill behind the house and I did some whoops.
Okay.
And
some
didn't hear anything. Yeah. And drove back home. and later that night, there were more than one that came around the house. And they were beating on all sides of the house. A little one must have jumped up on the roof and was running back and forth. You know, we lived in a low ranch house, so for a Bigfoot, it would have been easy to jump up there. And like I said, it would have had to have been a little one.
Right.
A full-grown one, no, he would have crashed through.
Right. Yeah, I've heard of that before too. Run from housetop to housetop and just beating on the houses. Yes. Yeah,
it was intense. They were beating on the walls.
Jeez.
And my husband just slept right through it. And here I am trying to wake him up. God bless him. He's a hard worker, and he
was out for the night.
He was out.
Man. And it was always nighttime. They wouldn't come around during the day.
No, only at nighttime.
Wow. So this was a period of 12 years.
Yeah.
And so what else? What about, like you said, 5 encounters?
Yeah. For all that 12 years, I only saw him once. He would always run out of sight whenever I would go outside. Yeah, I'd hear him running, but that's about it. But one day he made a mistake of peeking up over. There was like a big stone wall behind the house, and I was outside brushing my hair out, and he peeked up over the wall at me, and I spotted him.
Ooh.
And he had pretty hair. It was like a golden red tint to it. Yeah, it was very pretty. He was silhouetted though by the setting sun. I really couldn't make out features.
How tall was he in the fence, and like, if your guesstimation or whatever?
Oh, I honestly wouldn't be able to tell because I only saw his head.
Oh, he wasn't just standing on the other side of the fence, or he had to climb up or something.
But there was a stone wall. It was a low stone wall. He would have had to crawl up to it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. He was
Yeah. And peek up over it. And he had to have been pretty sneaky because there was a golf course probably about 70 yards away that anybody looking over in the right direction would have seen him. But, he peeked up over that wall, and I said, I see you, you SOB.
I can't imagine. I would just... Now, how did he look to you as far as the facial features?
Well, he was silhouetted, by setting sun, so I honestly couldn't make out any features. Just that his hair in the sun, it was very pretty. Yeah, that's about the only thing I could make out.
Man, that's incredible.
And it was that was a fun period of time, but that was the period of time that I really got into Bigfoot intensely, and really started jumping into learning more about them, and going through, searching for someone who could answer questions.
Right.
And that was hard because most people I would go to, they had a lot of theories, but they didn't know anything. They had, a lot of them honestly didn't have any experience. And I found a couple guys on YouTube. They had a YouTube channel, and whenever I listened to them, I said, bingo, these guys know. And so I connected with them and learned a lot from them. And that was, in fact, let me see, when was it? If 2018. One of the guys, Tim Baker, his nickname is Coonbo.
Okay, yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yeah, he
I mean,
invited
I've never
me.
met him or anything. I know who you're talking about, though. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had invited me to go out to Oklahoma with a group of researchers back in 2018. So my sister and I went out on a research trip out there.
Wow, that must have been really cool.
That was fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
I know he's incredibly smart.
He is, yes.
Very well learned, very knowledgeable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a retired NASA scientist,
mm-hmm.
and he applies his research from NASA to his Bigfoot research. So he's able to learn, and he has discovered many things back in the early days that people just quote now as being common knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Is what he's discovered. And so whenever we went out to Oklahoma, we were out there for a week, and every single night we had activity. At least one person on the team had a sighting. And I think on our fourth night, I had must have been my fourth sighting.
Okay.
I'm skipping over a couple there, but
just the third. I think you told me about the first and the second time.
Yeah.
When he peeked over the wall.
Right.
And then this is the fourth time.
Yeah. This is the fourth sighting. I'll backtrack after I tell you about this one.
Cool.
But we were in a area called Purgatory, Oklahoma. It's well known for Bigfoot being aggressive in the area. And we were there. We had some activity while we were there. And the night was getting late. We had a long drive back to camp, so we were headed back, and one of the guys was having problems with his truck. So we pulled over into a parking lot of a casino, and, we're sitting there, and everybody's got their heads underneath the hood of the truck, and four of us just stayed in our pickup truck.
Mm-hmm.
And there was two guys in the front seat, and myself and my sister in the back seat. And I was sitting behind the driver, and my sister and the driver, they had never seen a Bigfoot, were very inexperienced, and myself and Chuck, the other passenger, we kept telling them, if you want to see a Bigfoot, you have to stay aware. You can't be always playing with your phone, because every time we would stop, they'd bring their phone up and start playing games, or I don't know what they were doing on.
Right. You have to keep looking. You have to.
You do.
Stay
Doesn't
focused.
Matter. You do, and it honestly doesn't matter where you're at. You stay aware, and it's just for common sense safety. Also, you stay aware.
Constantly scanning.
Yeah.
Side to side.
Yeah, we're sitting there in this parking lot, brightly lit parking lot of a casino, when the Bigfoot comes running out in between the casino and another building, right across the parking lot, brightly lit parking lot. This is after midnight. Mm-hmm. Running across the parking lot, across the highway, and into the woods on the other side.
What?
And Chuck and I were the only two that saw it.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah.
They were playing on their phones?
Yes. Yes, there they were playing on their phones, and everybody else were working on the other guy's pickup truck.
Oh, wow. And I bet somebody on the highway had to see it.
It's possible. I can't remember if there was any traffic or not.
Oh, okay.
There may
Maybe
not have been.
Somebody probably saw like a shadow or something.
Possibly, yeah. And,
wow. Run right across.
Yes. Yep.
How about that? What did he look like?
He was, let me think, both Chuck and I, we, after talking together, and we both noted he was about the same height as a highway sign, the speed limit sign.
Oh.
And that's standard height, about between 8 and 9 feet. And he was right around there.
Sure, big.
And he was running full tilt right across that parking lot. And the neat thing was, whenever I got back home, I went on the Google Maps and I brought up that area.
Uh-huh.
And I was able to measure from point A to point B, from where he came out to where he disappeared into the wood line. And but Chuck and I agreed it took him about 3 seconds to run that distance.
Uh-huh.
And so I was able to figure out how fast he was running. And that was about 52 miles an hour.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that is fast. And I've heard people say they're faster than deer, and they're just like lightning. And I've heard not a whole lot, but maybe one or two times where people would say they were keeping up, just running behind their vehicle, and they were going full speed, full like 55 miles, 60 miles an hour.
Right.
And they were having no trouble just keeping up.
Oh yeah.
For a period of time.
I believe it.
That's incredible to be able to run that fast.
Yes.
Those strides must have been at that speed. I can't even imagine 12, 15 feet or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, me neither.
My goodness.
Yeah, it was something. But the security guard had come out, and because they were wondering what we were doing out there, and so Chuck and I both told them, security guards, what we had seen, and we said, "Oh, you had to have, had it on your security cameras."
Yeah.
And they said, "Yes, we do, but we'll release them." No.
Really?
Absolutely, because that's a business. They want clients to come not for Bigfoot, but to gamble.
Gotcha. Right. Yeah.
And they told us that the Bigfoot come there just about every night and raid their dumpster.
What?
And they said that their employees will not go out after dark, to dump the garbage. They're too afraid. And put handprints.
There's got to be a lot of people around that area that just know.
Oh yeah.
They're there all the time.
Yes. Oh yeah. Absolutely, they do.
But don't really talk about it.
No.
I mean, it's not like people.
Yeah, this was
not
on
something people talk about all the time. It's to this day. It's
not really, but yeah, that region. It's all the casinos, they're on native reservations, and they were, they're well known, and they talk about them all the time. But and we know quite a few people out there, and they were showing us areas that were pretty hot. And,
what I was trying to say, I know, like on reservations and Native Americans, they just, it's just a given that they're there.
Yeah.
And they all know about them. But like, I don't know. For example, the other day, I was speaking with my aunt, and she said, I heard you're doing something on the internet with Bigfoot or something. I said, yeah, I'm collecting encounter stories and people who've spotted Bigfoots and stuff. And she just kind of snickered, didn't say nothing bad, but didn't say anything good, and he just kind of like, oh, well, okay. And it's just like, if people knew just a little bit of information.
Yeah.
People see these tabloids and see things in the supermarket or whatever, and might see something on TV like a beef jerky commercial, and just think there's one of them. And he travels around the world, and people see him time to time. It's a big joke. And
and they call him Daryl. I get that all the time.
But if people actually took the time and just read a little bit of info and just looked at some a little bit of serious inquiry, they'd realize, hey, this thing is very real.
Oh, absolutely.
There's many, many, many of them out there, all around North America, all around the world.
Yes, there honestly are. I know Kumbo had done a study a few years ago. He used Audubon and other software in order to figure out what numbers of animals in a certain area, and they would go by certain criteria. And so he was able to apply that to Bigfoot. And of course, it's an approximate number, and it correlates. I think he was able to correlate it with black bear in the area, because if the terrain and the area is good for a black bear, well, then of course it's good for Bigfoot also.
Right.
If it can support a bear, it'll support a Bigfoot. And I think he had figured about 60,000 in America, which to me is quite low. But then I had also spoken with a ranger, a park ranger, about black bear numbers. And she told me, she said that whenever you hear a number, like locally here where I live, they say that there's 9 bear in the area. And she told me, you always times that number by 3 because they're only counting the young males.
Okay. So you got like 27 or close to around 30 bears in your area, So let's see, 60, 120, 180,000.
Yeah.
Bigfoot, possibly, give or take.
Yeah.
180,000. And still, though, compared to, what is the population of the United States? Like 250 million or 300 million?
I think it's around 300 million.
And then we're talking 180,000.
Right.
And people wonder why you don't see them every day.
Yeah.
Wow. I wonder what the population of black bear in North America is, if they have some kind of approximate.
Yeah, I think every state would have a number, on their
I'm curious
on their
what the
website.
total would be.
Yeah, you might be able to figure out. Yeah, state by state. Yeah, that would be interesting to find out.
Compare that to the 180,000. I'm sure that there's a lot more.
I think that there are.
I mean, a lot more, but still, it's not too often you see a black bear neither. I mean, I've never seen one, but I live in Delaware.
Oh, I'm sure you have black bear there also.
No, we don't have any bear.
No.
Well, at least not down south where I live. Southern Delaware, there's no bear at all.
Oh,
like
okay.
That. Just deer. And buzzards and lots of cornfields and chickens.
You probably have coyotes.
No wolves or coyotes.
Really?
Now,
no coyotes?
The further upstate you go, it does, like, say, Newark, Wilmington, and where it turns into Pennsylvania, then you start hearing where there's some coyotes or maybe a few black bear. And then, of course, the further north you go, it's just they're all over the place. But down here, at the bottom of the peninsula, really, there's no bear or coyotes or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
So we would have to go over to West Virginia or Virginia, go over the Bay Bridge and
further out.
To see any bear or coyotes or anything like it, or Bigfoot for that matter.
Yes.
But we're not too far from, like a trip. I mean, we're only a couple hours away from Virginia, a few hours. So, we could go camping or squatching and just perhaps maybe see a Bigfoot one day going through Virginia or something if I'm camping or something. But
you never know.
That would be something. I've never seen one myself.
Yeah, well, you never know. You honestly never know. Like I kept telling my sister, always be aware. And in my third sighting, that was, let me think, what year was that? That was about 2015. My husband and I were driving in Ohio, eastern Ohio, and we were just driving down the road, and I was just watching, looking at the woods and everything, because it was a very pretty area. And here comes, there's a Bigfoot, came out of the woods to the, and crossed the dirt lane and into the woods on the other side. And, we were going maybe 40 miles an hour. So, that only lasted, 2-3 seconds.
You both saw it?
No, he was driving, so he didn't see it.
Catch that?
No.
But, that would be probably, in Ohio, they call them the grass man, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah. And there's been I'm hearing a lot out of Ohio recently.
Yeah, Ohio is, I go over there quite often because I live, I'm really not that far from the border.
Okay.
And so I do go over there quite often, and there's areas that are just absolutely fantastic, for Bigfooting. There's one county, Coshocton County, that it's great. It's
That's
great
cool.
for Bigfooting.
When you go on a camping trip or with your group, you go out and spend a weekend or a week in the woods. What do you do at night to say you're going out you want to see a Bigfoot, or do you go whooping and knocking on trees, or do you just go walking silently and just watching? And
well,
what's your technique?
The technique I use, I learned it from Coonbo, is people think that you have to go hiking way out in the woods, and you don't. And you just think over the sightings that I've had, none of them were in the deep woods.
Right.
And so you figure out what is a likely area and where are there past sighting reports. And so you use Google Maps and previous reports on the various websites, and we drive to, it's usually like an area right off of a dirt road, maybe a forest road or something, and we'll pull over and we'll get out of our vehicles and stand by the vehicles, and some people will do calls or else they'll do call blasting.
Yeah.
Me, I'm personally gun shy after that one experience of them coming down on beating on the house, so I personally don't do any calls. But being on trees, no. But certain calls will work. It just depends. It's usually the juveniles that'll answer. depending on the call. But and they'll come in on us sometimes, unless we're lucky enough to go to an area where they're at already. And that's happened. We've there's one area in northern Pennsylvania we had gone to. We pulled over and set up I stuck around the truck because there was another lady with us who was severely disabled. She couldn't walk or anything. So I stayed with at the truck with her, and everybody else went off hiking. And this was along railroad tracks, so they split up. Some went walking down the tracks, and other ones went up further up the road and out on some trails. And this was at nighttime, late at night. And the various teams had some activity, like rocks thrown at them, and knocks. I think one member saw possible Bigfoot through his thermal. And meantime, me and the other lady, we were getting some activity right there. I could hear something in the brush across from us. It was just being obviously loud, running back and forth, cracking twigs, trying to scare us off. And so I called on the walkie-talkie for someone else to come by, that I needed another pair of eyes. Because I knew with Bigfoot and where we were situated, I didn't want one sneaking up behind me.
Yeah. And do you find that where there's, you said usually the juveniles will answer, and then they'll come down sometimes. And do you find that that whenever the parents aren't far behind, what I'm trying to say is, like, do they let the young ones go off on their own?
Yeah. These are usually the older teenagers.
Okay.
The troublemakers, gangbangers.
Gotcha.
They like to make mischief, and
they are a lot like humans.
They are, yeah, they really are.
I've heard that different age groups, like the younger ones, like to watch kids playing in their backyard on swing sets and stuff, and like to just go play with them, and like they don't know any better. And
Right, they don't.
And sometimes the kids, they're not scared. They just have a new friend, or I read one encounter where the kid was telling his mom, my friend, I want to go out and play with my friend.
Yeah, I've heard that from quite a few people. There's a few people in my group who've had that same experience. They grew up with them like that, which is amazing.
Yeah.
In my eyes,
I thought that was really neat, because it didn't mean any harm whatsoever.
Right.
And they were both innocent.
Yeah, but the problem comes with the adults.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's where trouble comes in.
Yeah.
And that one night I kept hearing this activity across from us. And our group was a mixture of men and women. And every time a man would, one of the guys would come walking through, the activity would stop. But and as soon as he would walk off, it would start up again. But if one of the other women on the team would come through, it would start up again.
Okay.
And it would, they kept it up for the women.
So they feel sort of threatened by the men?
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah.
And so one of the women stuck around with us, and I used her as another pair of eyes. She kept an eye off to the front, and I was trying to watch behind us. And all of a sudden, something came rushing down the hill through the brush. Sounded like a freight train coming down at us, and it stopped just short of breaking out of the brush.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought for certain this huge monster would be crashing out at us.
Yeah.
And
the way it was barreling down the mountain.
Yeah.
You would think.
Yeah. It was, but no, he was. They were trying to scare us off.
Right.
We were in a hunting area for them, and they wanted us out of there.
Do you think that was sort of like what they call a bluff charge?
Yes,
Okay.
that was a bluff charge.
Gotcha.
And that was a juvenile, because if it would have been an adult, it would have come out in the open.
Wow. And been not too happy.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm glad it was a juvenile.
Right. Man.
But in the meantime, after that happened, the other lady and I, we were talking, and all of a sudden I smelled something like a sickly sweet smell coming up from underneath my truck, and I thought, oh my God, no. Here's one crawled up underneath my truck.
Really?
Yeah. Because Kumbo had told me before, he said, if you smell that smell, it's their breath.
Oh, wow, okay. I never thought of it like that. I just figured it was their body odor. It's actually their breath.
Oh, their body odor is no, that's not body odor. Body odor would be like a boys' locker room after crawling through week-old garbage and a mixed with blood and crap and so on.
Yeah, I've heard it described as just like death.
Yeah.
It's like just rancid meat, BO mixed with BO, pig crap mixed with
skunk and
all that.
Everything.
So what? Okay, so you smelled this smell, and when did you realize that one had crawled up underneath your truck?
This was after the one bluff charged us. So apparently, our attention had been diverted enough that one was able to, crawl up behind us and sneak up, get under the truck. And so I just, I shifted over so that my legs were behind the wheel, and because I didn't want him reaching out and grabbing my ankle. that wouldn't have been fun.
Oh my gosh, that would freak me out.
Yeah, but you can't run or do anything because there's the disabled lady there,
right.
And I'm just trying to keep her calm, and let her know.
What ended up happening with the one under the truck? Did you get a good look at him at all? Or?
No, nope. I was just concentrating on trying to keep the other lady calm, and so it went away. And,
okay, good.
So the night pretty much ended right, very soon after, because everybody else started drifting back into the base. And
you guys had it up close and personal. It came right up to you. You didn't need to go out.
Absolutely,
You didn't even leave the truck.
Nope.
My goodness. And that was his breath. Kumbo said that their breath smells like that. You said it's like a sickly sweet.
Right, a sickly sweet, like overblown flowers and fruit.
Okay, wow, that's really interesting. I've never heard that, I guess I just never. I never thought of it like that. I guess their breath would be a heavy duty breath.
Yeah.
never heard too many people get that close to them to smell their breath.
Yeah.
But, you know, you can hear them. A lot of people say you hear them breathing really deep and heavy. But have you ever heard one growl or
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
They say that was pretty intense.
Yeah, that was. That was on that Oklahoma trip. We were in an area and interrupted a hunt, and they were not happy. So everybody else had gone off, and because they had seen a couple up the road, and they were walking up towards them, and a few other in the group, they had gone off in the woods, and I'm slightly disabled. I can't hike anymore. I can walk around, but I can hike maybe up to a quarter mile on easy terrain. That's about it. Okay. But so I stay mostly with the trucks and whenever we go out. But
gotcha.
Yeah, there had been a wild hog that had run across the road. So I hustled my sister up into the pickup truck and keep her safe. Wild hogs, forget it.
I've heard that they can be pretty vicious.
Yeah. That they scare me more than Bigfoot.
Yeah. Like just they're just worse than let's say coming across a mad pit bull or something. They're really, really vicious, especially in groups. Yeah. I've heard they're pretty dangerous. Run people up trees.
Right. Yeah. So I hustled my sister. I pushed her, literally pushed her up into the truck, and then I got up in the passenger seat because it wasn't our truck. And so I'm sitting there in the pickup truck with the window down, and all of a sudden I hear this growling next to the truck, maybe about 8 to 10 feet away, something like that. He was in the bushes, and just letting us know that you're not welcome.
Was it now? I've heard like a lion in a zoo before, and how it's just deep and all encompassing and just rattling. Was it like that, or was it just like a low growl?
It was a low growl. It wasn't, but yeah, it was. I knew what it was. It wasn't anything else.
Enough to just let you know it's not what you wanted to mess with.
Right.
I've heard a lot of people talk about infrasound too, and getting zapped. And have you ever had to deal with that? Yeah,
I've had to deal with that a couple times, and I've reacted to it in different ways. It must be from maybe the intensity. I don't know. There's been a few times where I've gone into areas and just, nothing's wrong. But I get hit with an intense feeling of fear.
Okay. Yeah.
And get out. And so, by the time I recognize it and say, and I just say out loud, okay, I'm going, and I turn around and I'll walk out, because you always have to respect their territory. That's their home. Whenever they say, go away, it's probably because you're just too close.
Man, I wonder if that has anything to do with what they call mind speak, or if it's more or less just our fight or flight, or
I don't
because
know.
of the infrasound, or
I've never experienced the mind speak. It could be just interpretation of the feelings.
Right.
I really don't know. Other times I just get a upset stomach, feel nauseous, and another time I just got a sudden migraine.
I've the more people I talk to, and the more I listen to different interviews and things like that, and the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know anything yet. Like there's so much more to learn.
There always is.
It's one rabbit trail after another, after another, and it's just like, wow, it's a never-ending process of learning about this thing, and all that comes with it.
Yeah, once you jump down that rabbit hole branches off into a million other rabbit holes, and
right. It does. It really does. And then you got the different groups that believe different. Everybody has their own, like you said earlier, about theories. And everybody has, one person will have this theory, and another group or person will have this theory, and who's right or who's wrong. And I don't. I get confused, like overwhelmed sometimes with information.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to. And then I go back and just listen to the simple encounter stories. And I'm like, that's what I like about Bigfoot is the simple encounter story, the what's out there that we don't know about.
Right.
And then I just sometimes it gets so complicated and overwhelming. I just want to get back to the simple encounter stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. Those are the ones, honestly, that you'll learn the most from, because you think about it, you use common sense, and that's
right.
I try to stress that with everyone. You use your common sense, even though they're not common, and weird things will happen.
Right.
But use your common sense on what's going on, and a lot of what you learn is you can correlate what you learn about Bigfoot with other primates because they do share a lot of the same traits, the same little quirks. Because I know some people believe that they're aliens and so on, and no.
Yeah, I don't go that far.
No,
that just I do know that there's sightings sometimes in like around the same time. There's a lot of UFO sightings, and there'll be some Bigfoot sightings in the same area.
Right.
And I don't know why that is, but I've never gone as far as, I just can't wrap my mind around them being. They got to be from here.
Yeah.
Because they live here. They poop and pee just like we do, right. And they eat. They eat just like we do, and if necessary, they'll go to the dumpsters just like you said earlier.
Yes.
And if they were aliens, they wouldn't need to do that.
Right.
They could just go grab a bite somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anywhere else, not the dumpster, but it just doesn't make sense to me. But as far as maybe interdimensional type stuff or cloaking, I can see how that could be a possibility, maybe. But I haven't learned enough, so I don't.
Right.
I don't know yet on, but it's very interesting. And
y'all, that is part one of Mary Fabian from the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project on the Skookum Report. She's just dropping bombs of knowledge about Bigfoot, and I love her to death. It's my favorite Bigfoot group on Facebook. That's Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project, and you got a lot of good people there. And it's fair, safe, and fun. Okay, guys, just check it out. All right, and what else? What's going on? If you or somebody you know has had a sighting or an encounter with Bigfoot, put it down in an email, man. Send it to me at skookumreport@gmail.com. That's skookumreport@gmail.com, and I'll be sure to get it up on the channel for you, no problem at all. Listen, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and leave a comment. I love talking to you guys. I love meeting new people. And y'all are awesome, and I want to send a shout out to Big Mike. He is my man. He's my main man at the Skookum Report here. And I love you guys. Until next time, part 2 coming up soon of Mary Fabian from the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Love you. God bless. Bye.